So welcome to the day one session of Selenium WebDriver CHAS training by 5 Elements Learning. We are going to talk today about the concept of automation, why open source automation. We are going to then introduce ourselves to Selenium, have a look at the different types of Selenium commands, and understand an important concept called as locators in Selenium. So basically, software testing refers to the process where we basically try to identify situations and defects which are not as per expectation. So something which is deviation from the expectation is basically a defect, and that is what we are trying to identify and to measure the quality of the software. Now, during the process of testing, there are times when we have to basically test the same feature again and again with every build release. These type of test cases are known as regression test cases and are very highly repeatable in nature. And there is no creativity involved in it. There is just a very heavy time involved in it, and it is not advisable that a manual tester should be involved in regression test scenarios. So these are our ideal candidates for automation. Automation basically refers us to a process where we are going to replace a man with the machine. So software test automation refers to the activities and effort that basically automate the engineering task and operations in the software test process using well-defined strategies and systematic solution. The idea is to decrease cost, decrease time to delivery for effective utilization of resources and reduced redundancy. So we should have a dedicated workforce, we should have trained human resource, well-defined strategies, dedicated budget and proper tools for it. Now there are many such tools available in the market broadly classified as commercial and open source tools. So we have UFT from HP, Test Complete from SmartBear, Bold and Silk, and in open source we have got Water, Selenium, SoapUI, Sahi. SoapUI is mainly for web services testing. The benefit which we get with open source solutions is it is low cost, customizable, we have faster time to market, there is an ease of procurement and the sense of contributing back to the society. Now the tool of our choice is Selenium. Selenium is a very popular tool. The reason being it supports multiple operating systems, it supports multiple programming languages, and it supports multiple browsers. That makes Selenium a very popular test automation tool for functional testing of web applications, specifically an open source tool for functional testing of web application. Now this is the Selenium website, and the Selenium projects are broadly classified into WebDriver, RC, Grid and IDE. This is where whatever we require with Selenium, the drivers, the browser, the client libraries can be downloaded from here. Then this is the Selenium documentation, all the concepts with the examples in that particular programming language. So our choice of language is C#. So we can convert any example in the C# language and learn about Selenium from that point of view. Then these are our support information, the chat groups, the bug tracker, organizations providing commercial support, etc. and the about section. Now, it was basically invented in year 2004 by Mr. Jason R. Huggins. And it is basically released using the license Apache 2.0, which is a free license version. Now the components of Selenium which are available to us are IDE, which is for record and playback, and it is only supported by the Firefox browser. Then you have got Selenium RC. Selenium RC was Selenium 1.0. It basically tries to drive the browser by using a client-server architecture where it injects a proxy server, a JavaScript proxy server into the browser and drives the browser through it. You have got one RC client-server architecture for all the browsers. Then it was found that every browser has their own driver API which allows the browser to be automated. So we came across this WebDriver concept which is known as Selenium 2.0, even Selenium 3.0, or basically just known as Selenium WebDriver concepts. In these concepts, yes, Sajid.
Yeah, so with 3.0, the RC is gone, right? No more we have
RC
RC,
is
right?
gone from here itself. It's Selenium
Yeah,
1.0
for two.
is this. The difference between 2.0 and 3.0 is that now all the web drivers of every browser is to be provided by that browser itself. So Selenium will no longer
Yep.
maintain it.
Okay.
And with the Firefox browser, there is a change. We used to have we have to now use Gecko driver. No longer we can use Firefox driver, which is this. We use something called as the Gecko driver with Selenium 3.0.
So one is the Firefox driver, and what is the other change between
Gecko
2.0 and
driver,
3.0?
Gecko
Okay.
driver is to be used now, and every
Okay.
browser has to now provide their own web drivers. So basically, what
Oh,
happened was that W3 Consortium laid some guidelines for browser development that every browser should provide artifacts so that the browsers can be automated and tested. So since Selenium 2.0, Selenium used to maintain the drivers for all browser, which no longer is true with Selenium 3.0. Every browser organization provide their own web drivers.
oh, okay, okay. Hmm.
Okay, and then we
Okay.
have got Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid basically allows us to use RC in two different modes. One is called as the hub mode, the other is called as the node mode, and it allows us to create a parallel structure, a grid-like structure, which allows us to run tests in parallel. So you can do cross-browser testing, or you can divide a very big test suite into multiple smaller test suites and run your tests. So we have got IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Selenium Grid, the four components. Out of them, these three components support all browsers or operating systems. This only support the Firefox browser. So to work with IDE, the Firefox version we should have available on our system is Firefox 51. Not no Firefox above than that will support IDE. So if you must be having a newer version of Firefox, what you have to do is you have to uninstall that version and go to this website which provides us Firefox previous releases. This website provides us with Firefox previous releases. Here you have to go ahead and download the Firefox version 51. This is what you have to download depending upon whether you have Win32 or Win64 system. You have to go ahead and download in English US the Firefox setup. Once you download and install the Firefox setup, you have to perform this action. So you have to basically go to the advanced section of the browser settings and ensure that you have chosen that you want only to update, and without your information, without your consent, the browser should not get updated. So go to advanced, go to update. You can say either check for update but let you choose whether to install them, or never check for update. Okay. So either way you can choose one of the options so that your Firefox browser version which you have downgraded do not get upgraded automatically. So go ahead. Do you have Firefox 51 available on your system, or would you have to change it? You can use the questions panel to communicate with me. Okay, so go ahead and do it because we will be trying some Selenium ID exercise during the session just so that you get involved. So go ahead and download and install it, please. Okay, so uh, if you have installed the Firefox, there are two applications which your browser should now contain. One is the Selenium IDE API. So you have to go ahead and open this URL on the Firefox browser and click on Add to Firefox. When you do that, it will ask you to install this add-on of Firefox. Say yes, allow it to install and restart your browser. Then once your browser gets restarted, there is another API which we have to download and install, that is Selenium Flow Control. So this is the second API which you should have on your system, on your Firefox browser. So go ahead and install this as well on your browser window. Okay. Okay, Sajid. And please install the flow control as well. So even if it already exists, you can go ahead and install it so that you get the latest version, not some older version. So sure, I can do that. So this is the application. I've shared the URL with you. This is the application which we will be using to work with and understand the concepts of Selenium. So this is the URL and this is the home page. You click on My Account link and then you go to the Continue button to register yourself as a new user. So you don't have to give a valid email ID. Any email ID would do. And you have to fill in all the mandatory details to get a user account information. Remember the email address and password using which you have registered. Then using that email address and password, we are going to log into the system. Once we have logged into the system, we can go ahead and change our account information. We can go ahead and change our password. Okay, we can go ahead and search for a product. We can go ahead and buy a product, add to our cart, confirm order, and proceed with product buying. So during all this, we are going to get these text images, text consent to verify whether we are on the correct page or not. So we get your order has been processed. You can go ahead and click on different categories to find the different types of products available in there. You can see the different manufacturers and the products associated with those manufacturers. You can go ahead and view the orders you have already made or change your password, register yourself as a user. Then you click on the log off link and the continue button to come out from this website. So as first assignment, what you have to do is you have to create test cases for the following scenarios. So some of the scenarios we will be picking for which we should have test cases available so that when we try to automate them, we have this document available with us. So you don't have to create a big Excel sheet and everything. Just a simple set of lines in a text pad would do. So these are some of the scenarios which you have to create test cases on. Now one such scenario we are going to pick up is the scenario for login and logout. I am going to create steps and then I am going to record that scenario in the IDE. So open application, click my account link, type username, type password, click sign in button, click log off link. Now for the time being understand that these are just steps. There is no validation available in here to make it a test case. So first we are going to learn how do we record just the steps. So launch Firefox browser, open the application and then launch Selenium IDE. So we open the application on the Firefox browser. Once the page is loaded, we are going to launch the Selenium IDE, which is available in the developer option in Firefox browser. Selenium IDE is basically going to pop up as a Firefox window and it is going to come in this record button enabled. Now we will start with our scenario. Click on the My Account link, type in the email address, type in the password, click on the sign in button, then click on the log off link and the continue button. So the steps which we have recorded are captured in here. You stop the recording. You go ahead and save your test case in one of the folders. The file at the back end would be saved as an HTML file. Now when you run this using the play icon, all the steps would occur and your test case would pass. So go ahead and perform the recording of this login logout scenario on your system, please. Okay, Sajid, I'm going to make you a presenter and I'm going to
Okay.
request control of your browse system. So this is Firefox version 56. We have to downgrade the Firefox browser and come to Firefox browser version number 51 to work with. And when you do that, it's actually enabled. Let me just see.
But when I clicked on the recording, I don't see anything yet.
1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not capturing. So your Firefox version is not right, okay?
Okay. Okay.
So you can do that later, that's not a problem. Downgrade your Firefox browser and make it 51, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What time is right now for you?
For me, currently it is 7:30 evening.
So this time suits you, 1 to 3 p.m. my time? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yeah, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay. So I was asking, is this time 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. fine for you?
Yeah. Is it possible, like at least 30 minutes,
1:30 to
one third,
3?
probably 3 o'clock or something?
Yeah, yeah, 1:30 to 3 will it do?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, so we will do that. So I will now show
Yeah, that should
you,
be fine.
okay, how do we assert,
Okay.
so I have put you on mute. So I'll show you how do we assert our test steps. And like I said, you can try these steps later once you have the correct Firefox browser version. So there are two sets of commands which we can try. One is the verify set of command. Second is the assert set of command. So verify set of commands will work even if the step is failed. It allows next step to execute. And assert set of commands abort the test case execution if it fails. So these are two types of command available to us. So we will use both of them in our scenario for mandatory assertion and not so important assertion. So I'm going to assert the login logout scenario by verifying a text and verifying a object. So the text I'm going to verify is this my account information. So I come here, highlight this line. Then the command I'm going to choose is verify text and I'm going to select the target as this my account information. I'm going to here paste the value. Now the next thing I am going to do is assert element present. So the next command I'm going to add is assert element present, and I'm going to select this log off link. Then I'm going to click on this log off link and the continue button. So these are the steps which we have captured, and then I'm going to again verify text. This welcome to 5 elements learning text on the screen to verify the process of log off as well. So these are my steps. I've saved this test case by calling it as login logout with validations. And then now I'm going to run my program again. So stop recording, go ahead and run the scenario again. Right now everything will pass. So the steps which are asserted or validated appear in a darker shade of green, mentioning that they have been asserted. Now let's try to fail the verification command. If we fail the verification command, though it will register the failure, it will still allow the next step to execute. So these are for less important assertion. So mainly when the next step execution is not dependent upon prior step to be passed, we use this command. Okay. Now if I change this verify text to assert text, and if this test case now fails, the step will definitely fail. You will see that the test case execution gets halted. So it will not allow the test case to go to the next step. So you get 3 statuses: white, red and green. Past steps, failed step and steps which are not executed. So if assert command fails, the execution will halt. So these are the validations which we can perform on a test case, and this is how we add the validations. Any questions in here? Whatever we have discussed, any questions so far? Okay. So we will take some assignment problems. So record and play back including validations, change profile scenario. This you have to do. Now we are going to talk about the concept of locators, which is one of the most important concepts in Selenium. So basically, locator is a technique to identify uniquely an element on the page so that an action can be performed on it. Identify uniquely an element on the page so that an action could be performed on it. This is what locator is, where we want to identify uniquely an element on the page so that action could be performed on it. Now, how can we locate an element? For that, we are going to take an analogy. Let's say there is a class where it contains a lot of students, or let's say it's a organization where there are a lot of employees. How do you identify an employee? You can identify an employee using his employee number or employee ID, which would be unique, right? Then you can identify an employee by using his name. The chances are that there could be more than one person having the same name, but nevertheless you can identify the employee using his name. Then you can identify the employee by understanding this place where the employee sits in the office. For example, employee sits in Noida office, 3rd floor, 2nd row, 1st seat. So this is known as XPath. The location of the employee, the place where the employee is sitting. Then you can also identify an employee by using his appearance as to how the employee looks like. So that's known as cascading style sheet. And then lastly, you can identify an employee by using his hierarchy in the organization. Example, organization dot team leads dot employee. So his hierarchy, his appearance, his location, his name, his ID. So keeping this analogy in mind, similarly you can recognize objects using ID, name, XPath, CSS and its hierarchy, which is basically called as the DOM. So XPath is location, CSS is appearance and DOM is hierarchy. So we remember this. And now from where ID and name are fetched. ID and name are basically fetched from the backend HTML of the object. So I'll show you from where object ID and name are fetched. For that we open the website and we go to the My Account page where we have got two text boxes and one sign in button. So for this page I'm going to do a view page source, or you can also use Firebug to identify and read the HTML associated with the object. So I click here and I click on the email address. This is the HTML I find. Let's note it down. Then we will capture for the password. Then we will capture for the sign in button. So here do we see that the email address and password have got this name property, name, email address, name, password, and the button has got this ID property TDB5, right? Now let's open the test which we have recorded, the login logout test. Here you will find out that in the locator information these property values are used. So you could see name equal to email address, password and ID equal to TDB5 are used to recognize these objects. Is this clear? Now let's come to the next concept, that is using XPath. Now XPath is basically the path traversed to reach the element. So XPaths are generally associated with XML documents. In here we say that let's read the HTML document as if it is an XML document and find the path we require to traverse to reach the element of choice. In here we have something called as a relative XPath. The syntax of that XPath is / tag name followed by in bracket attribute. So it's not @ tag name, it is tag name in bracket attribute is equal to value. Or you could have another attribute. This is how the relative XPath is formed. Then you can also form the absolute XPath, which starts with the root node. This is the absolute XPath. So absolute XPath starts from the root node, relative XPath starts from that node. Okay. An example of relative XPath is @input, //input @name is equal to email address. So an object which is recognized by the name could also be recognized by using the XPath. Then we have got CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. The CSS are basically used for appearance. So let's say in here all the links appear as if they are buttons with a nice background and this round corners. This is done with the help of the CSS. All the H1 tags or H2 tags appear. H1 tags appear in this bold color with some specific font. These H2 tags appear in different forms. So these are all done with the help of the CSS. Now in CSS, the syntax is given like this. CSS is equal to #ID or CSS is equal to tag name in bracket attribute is equal to value. So for example, you say CSS is equal to #TDB5 or CSS is equal to input name equal to email address. So that's how we can form CSS for an object for it to be identified. Then we have DOM. DOM stands for Document Object Model. The purpose of the DOM is to basically treat as an HTML document in a tree-like structure, which basically has got, every node has got a parent-child relationship. So you have HTML, which can contain a form or a frame. A form can contain further input elements, table elements, links, button, images, and so on and so forth. So there is an hierarchy which is involved. So you basically say document dot login dot email address, or you could have said document dot form where ID is equal to login dot input or dot elements 1. So generally using the index property, we identify the element inside the document. So it says create all form elements and pick the second form, create all the elements inside the form and pick the second element. So you can create the DOM locator for objects. Now, a lot about locators is basically available in this link, and then there are some links which I would request you to please read so that you are aware of these Selenium concepts. So we'll go to documentation, locating element. This is important to read. So similarly, they have also taken an example which they have then used different locators to help you understand. Then we have got this 5 element site. Here we have got 2 technical articles to be read about locators. One talks about all locators, the second specifically talk about a concept called as XPath access, which basically says creating XPaths using the relationship between nodes. So these are the links you have to read to understand the concept of locators. And if in case you want to understand about the technologies and maybe you want to go through them, then you have to basically use the W3 school links. So you can use the W3 school links to read about XML, HTML, CSS, and document object model. Any questions in here? Anything which is not clear about locators? Okay. So as an assignment, which is the last for you for today, you have to basically do this. You have to pick the register user scenario, and there is a small thing which you can do with Selenium IDE. At the time of record and playback, during the time when the Selenium is capturing information, you can basically see the different locator values fetched. So for example, here it's name, but it could also be done CSS, the DOM approach or the XPath approach. Similarly here, CSS, XPath approach, the DOM approach. Okay. So you have to basically record the register user scenario, and you have to find out the locators for all the objects, not only mandatory, for all the objects in the register user scenario. So I'm going to call it create locator sheet for all elements in the register user scenario. You will find that the register user scenario contains almost all the input element, checkbox, radio button, drop down, etc., etc. So the locator sheet you have to create would look something like this. So here you have to give object a logical name. Then you have to tell the type of object. Then you have to basically have an ID, name, XPath, CSS and DOM. So let's say logical name is first name, type of object is input text, ID is not available, name is equal to first name, XPath is input @name is equal to first name, and so on and so forth. Okay. So you will create this locator sheet for all the objects in the register user scenario. Is this clear? Okay. So now how do you create something called as a test suite? To create a test suite in Selenium, you have to basically go to file, say new test suite, then go to file, say add test case, and go ahead and select the test case you want to add in your test suite. Once your test cases are added, click on this play entire test suite icon. During the execution, if there is some problem you want to rectify, you can pause the execution and allow step-by-step execution of your test case so that you can change some things so that your test case can work. Okay. So this is how you can go ahead and create a test suite in Selenium IDE. Now, as I have mentioned at the back end, these test cases are basically HTML files. This table is known as Celanese table. These commands are known as Celanese command. The first argument is generally the locator. The second argument is the data. So these are some of the important concepts of Selenium IDE, and I have shown you the website. So I would request you to go ahead and practice and read mainly about the locators. The rest everything is taught to you so that you are aware of Selenium IDE. And one thing Selenium IDE can do is, which is very helpful for us, is I'll show you. So open Selenium IDE. Let's say you have recorded few scenarios very quickly. You open a scenario and then you can go to File, Export Test Case As, and you can export the test case in the C# NUnit WebDriver format. So this saves sometimes a lot of time, especially if you're doing a very quick proof of concept to find out whether Selenium is the right tool for you or not. So you can go ahead and play your program and then just quickly open it in a, export this program in a C# NUnit WebDriver format. So this is a C# test case which will basically perform the same login logout action which we have done using IDE. So this program will basically work with WebDriver or WebDriver because that's what the format we have used. Make sense? Okay. So Sajid, I'll be finishing the session a little early today. Okay, I got a few minutes late. I'm sorry for that. So that's all we have for Selenium IDE to be understood. So you can go through it and do these exercises. From tomorrow onwards, we'll start with Visual Studio. So you have to install the Visual Studio Community Edition on your system. And we are going to start with learning C# from tomorrow and proceed with these concepts. Okay, so after 3-4 days, once everything is done with C#, we will start with the WebDriver concepts. Any questions? So I'll see you tomorrow then,
Yeah,
Sajid,
Pallavi. Yeah,
1:30 p.m.
it's
my
good.
time. Okay.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So
So
there
you'll
is,
be sending me these docs and
yes,
the notes,
everything. Yes.
right?
Yeah, and just update your system to have
Okay.
Firefox browser and the Chrome browser. We'll require them when we move to WebDriver.
Yep.
Okay. Okay
Yeah,
then.
yep, sure.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
It will
Yeah,
take
bye.
me a little while to send you and upload this recording and send it to you. So just wait for 1 hour or so. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay, Sajid. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, same to you. Bye.